truly live awake. On today's episode of Inner Peace Better Health, we are joined by Jem Fuller, a man whose journey has taken him from barefoot backpacker to corporate leader, fire dancer to leadership coach. Through his work, books, and global retreats, Jim invites us to explore consciousness not as a concept, but as a daily practice. If you if you have ever felt disconnected or numb in the rush of life, this conversation is your wake-up call. So welcome, Jim. I'm honored to have you on my show.
Shreya, thank you so much for having me on your show.
Thank you. And Jim, you have lived so many lives in one. What's first sparked your journey into consciousness? Was there a moment when you knew you were no longer sleepwalking through life?
I think there've been many moments like that and many wake up calls. Sometimes they come through the experience of pain, whether it's the pain of an accident or the grief of losing a loved one. When a loved one dies, that
Mm,
pain can really it can wake you up.
mm.
It can also make people hide and go more into being asleep.
Yes.
But also some joyful experiences as well. Some beautiful existential experiences from deep meditation or from nature immersion,
Yes.
trekking in my second home is in a place called Naga in Himachal Pradesh in India,
Okay, okay,
and
yeah.
we walk in the Himalayan mountains. And when we walk in the Himalaya, we can also have these experiences of waking up, being very conscious.
Yes. That's so wonderful, and that's moment of realizing the awake. It's truly beautiful. And also, how do you define the consciousness today? Not philosophically, but practically.
Well, practically, the more conscious we are in any moment, the more aware of that moment we are.
Mm,
So, um, practically, it can be just pausing and noticing what you can notice. Just noticing, not judging, not attaching, not trying to change anything. Just simply noticing. You can notice your breathing. You can notice your heart rate. You can notice the smells or the sounds. Notice what you can see. Yeah, this is when you're alone. But you can also practice mindfulness, consciousness, awareness when you're with other people also. You can pay more attention to the other person, look more closely, try to feel and understand where they're coming from more. This is being more aware. And if you're in a conversation with someone, if you're in communication with someone, try to practice being conscious of the greater good of the conversation, not just from your perspective or just from their perspective, but what is the combination? What is the higher good that is being created out of this
mm.
communication or potential, you know? So this is practical application, but I think it's a very good practice to pause
Yeah.
often in your day. You finish one task before you race into the next thing, just pause and breathe. Notice what you can notice and then continue.
Yes, yes, that's so beautiful. And this is a type of communication also, and this is a healing tool. And you speak about conscious communication. What makes a conversation conscious, and why is it such a powerful tool for healing or connection?
Well, like I said, but the more conscious we are of something, the more aware we are. So just trying to be aware in the moment. And quite often when we're in communication with someone, we're not actually communicating very well, because communication means a sharing, and it means to come to an understanding. When we communicate with each other, we come to an understanding. It's a common ground. It doesn't mean we always need to agree with each other. We can still disagree consciously, but we're seeking to understand the other person. And so to be more conscious of that, really, you need to be practicing self-awareness as well, so that you're aware when you are getting defensive or when you are trying to, jump in and prove the other person is wrong, or when you are holding on very tightly to your ideas and you're not listening because you're like, no, this is the way it is. Um, to practice awareness of that. So when you're sitting there, if the other person is talking and you notice in your mind that you are waiting, you're queuing up to speak. If you notice that you're thinking, I'm gonna tell them this or I'm gonna tell them that, to notice that. Breathe. Just loosen your grip on life. Just loosen your grip a little bit like this, and pause again. Before you react, pause. Choose how you want to respond.
Yes.
We don't need to be so defensive. We don't need to be so defensive. We can just soften and listen and seek to understand. Then if you need to, if you feel like it's good for the greater good to help the other person try and understand your point of view, then you can do this, but you can do it more gently. Doesn't need to be so strong. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. And we often don't realize how we communicate from the protection, but not from the connection that we really need. And that's so beautiful how you explained it. And what is one unconscious habit we all fall into that blocks of the real connection?
Um, well, I mean, I think I've kind of touched on it already, but one of the most common habits or natural ways we fall into is that our ego, our sense of identity.
Okay.
Our ego is very much enmeshed into our ideology and into our values and our beliefs around reality, into our political opinion or into our religious opinion.
Mm.
So if you are very strong in your religious ideas or your political ideas, your sense of identity is meshed in with this. And our ego is very, very defensive because it's a protection mechanism. It's there to keep us safe.
Yeah.
But the ego can't tell the difference between perceived threat or real threat. So real threat is a lion chasing you to eat you, right? That's a real threat.
Yes.
Perceived threat is that somebody is challenging your beliefs, challenging your ideas on religion or politics or ideology. But your life is not actually in danger. It's just somebody who has a different opinion to you, different beliefs to you. And the mistake that we make is that we take those threats as real threats. And so we get very defensive, like it's life or death. Yes. And then we come very strongly into the communication. We're not listening anymore. We are defending ourselves. Our ego is defending itself because it feels life and death threatened.
Yes.
But it's not true. It's not true.
Yes, yes, that's so true. That I think almost everyone does that, but we don't realize what it actually is. So thank you for sharing this. And like in a world addicted to noise and distraction, how can we recenter and stay conscious, especially in this digital routines?
Daily practice of mindfulness meditation.
Okay,
Yes. Daily practice.
that will reshape our minds, everything. Thank you for that
Yes, it
also.
does. Yes. And also you can have dedicated mindfulness practice where you sit in a quiet place and meditate. You
Okay.
can also have integrated mindfulness practice. That's where you integrate the practice of mindfulness into something that you are already doing anyway. So just say, for example, you are brushing your teeth. This can be a mindfulness practice. You can brush your teeth mindfully. It just means that you pay attention to the present moment, not thinking about the day and what you didn't finish in the day, not thinking about tomorrow and what you have to do tomorrow. Just be in this moment. Notice the feeling of the toothbrush. Notice the sounds. Notice the taste. Notice the moment. This is a mindfulness practice. You can do it brushing your teeth. You can do it walking. You can do it talking. You can do it drinking water. You can do it in every moment. You can practice mindfulness.
Okay, that is accessible thing, and thank you for sharing this. I think because many people thinks that meditation is a little uh tough, but I think this kinds of thing are really accessible, and I think everyone can try this. So thank you for sharing that. And also, have you noticed a pattern of disconnection in your corporate clients, and what wakes them up?
Uh, Working with me wakes them up. I wake them up. I remind them every week. I'm reminding them. Um, yeah, look, if you are aware that being more conscious as a practice is available to you, if you've become aware of that, maybe you read a book or you saw a movie or you had an experience and you are aware that this is available to you, then if you have the internal motivation, the inclination to develop some sort of practice, and maybe you need a coach like me, or maybe you need, maybe you are self motivated and you just create your habitual practice.
Mm.
But a very good place to start becoming more conscious is to dedicate time to not only meditation, but also contemplation or introspection. So, what I mean by introspection is just sitting and looking within. And when you do this, be gentle on yourself. Don't look in very critical, very harsh. I'm no good at this. I'm terrible. And that's not healthy. When you look within like a gentle grandmother is looking at her grandchild with love. Look inside yourself with love and curiosity. Just notice, what am I thinking about this?
Yeah.
What am I doing about this? Just notice, where am I at? Yeah. And keep your self-talk, your language, keep it very loving and positive. You can still be constructive. I want to improve in this area, but be kind to yourself when you're talking to yourself. Yeah.
That's a wonderful and a natural way. And also, you run retreats in places like the Himalayas and Bali. What role does nature and disconnection from routine play in elevating consciousness?
It's very, very, very important. Very important because we are of nature. We are intrinsically and inseparably a part of the greater system. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
We're not separate.
yes.
But our ego tells us we are separate. So
Mm.
I am me in my body, and this is my body, and this is me, and I am walking around through life, and I am separate from my environment. But this is an illusion. We are completely a part of the environment. You are consuming the environment all the time when you breathe in, when you eat, when you drink water, through your skin. We are completely connected to our environment. And so when we spend most of our time inside a concrete building, whether it's our apartment building or our house or our corporate workplace or a car, when we are blocked off from the nature, we are creating this separation from our from the mother,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Mother Earth. And so when we move away from the buildings and the cars and the concrete and the steel, when we move into the mountains and the forest and the ocean and the desert and the nature, We are again, there's no barrier between us and the nature. And so we are, um, yeah, we are more connected to the mother. Yeah. So it makes it easier for us to remember that where we come from, that we are of the earth, we are of the universe. This is not my land. How can I own land that I am of?
Yes, yes,
Land, the land owns me, if there is any such thing as owning. But I am of the land, I am of the universe. And so when we get into full nature, it can help us do that. And also when we create a break from our day to day busy life, wake up, get ready, have breakfast and get ready, go to work, do the work, come home, cook the food, wash the dishes every day. Like when we stop and go on retreat and and pause, big long pause. Like some of our retreats are 2 weeks long, you
okay,
know. And when you pause for 2 weeks, then you have time to breathe, to remember,
yes,
to grow, to slow down, to come into this moment. Because this moment, Shreya, is all there is.
yes,
Yes?
yes.
Right now. Right now, this is all there is. And this
So
moment. Mm,
this is so true. And nature has a way of softening us back into ourselves. Uh, so that's so beautiful. And also, how can someone tap into that same presence even they are living in a room?
When you go into nature, and that can be just sitting at the foot of a tree or just um, walking on barefoot on the grass, when you're in that moment, you can press record in your head and record that experience, record it in your mind, in your memory. Then, when you are back in the room, surrounded inside in a room, you can sit and press rewind and press play, and you can bring your whole body back into remembering the connection with nature.
Yes. That's so wonderful because we often forget to leave the moment also or to record the moment. But yes, we can record that and play again. It's like a video that we just try to keep a nice moment in a photo or a video, and when we came back to home, we just want to play that. We can do that with our mind too. That's so
100%.
wonderful. So if consciousness is a muscle, how do we train it? And what daily rituals or mindsets shifts can keep us grounded in awareness?
So I think I've already spoken to some of my favorite ones, but um, mindfulness meditation, affirmation, positive words, affirmation daily, I am enough. I am healthy. I am strong. I am kind. I am caring. Um, I have abundance. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this moment, grateful for my family, grateful for this food, gratitude practice, affirmations. Pause throughout the day. So create some habitual moments to pause. So now I'm making tea. When I boil the water, I pause. So the water is boiling and I pause, just stand. Now tonight I am cleaning the kitchen. I pause. Just pause and breathe for 10 seconds and then continue cleaning the kitchen. Yes. So we can create pause moments. Also, very important for us is to move our bodies. So everything is in this beautiful um, duality, yin yang. Yes. So stillness is important, only with movement being important. If you only ever sit still, it's it doesn't work. Stillness becomes powerful when you also have movement in your life. So exercise. If you can exercise, exercise. If you can run, go for a run. If you can do yoga, do some yoga. If you can do some strength work, push-ups, sit-ups, anything, do it. If you can't, then walk. Walk. Go for a walk every day. Move your body and try to get into nature. If you can get into nature somewhere, anywhere, even if you can't get into big nature, but I'm sure where you are, you can find a park somewhere, a park with trees. Just get close to some trees. If you can't, get a plant inside and sit next to the plant inside. This is also good.
This is so beautiful. And the daily practice, like we have to make these practices in our daily routine, like we often do brush our teeth and take medicines. These things are also like medicines that we have to take every day. So I think after this my listeners will continue pra- doing all these practices and this meditation and all these affirmations will be a ritual of their routine. And also, what is one shift you personally return to when you feel yourself slipping into unconscious patterns?
Um, I I think also connection, our relationships with the people that we love are so important, so important. So if I feel like I'm becoming, less conscious, then I like to sit with my wife and just sit in silence together and just look into each other's eyes. In Tantra, we call this transfiguration. Just sit and look into each other's eyes. It's a beautiful connection practice. And when you do this with someone that you love, then you have to wake up because you are becoming connected with another soul, another person, another life form, which is outside of you. So you must wake up to do this as well,
Yes.
especially if it's someone that you love.
This is so, so beautiful, very beautiful. And thank you for sharing all your knowledges and your wisdom. I think my listeners will be really, really uh, enlightened with all this wisdom. So, now, if you have to say something to my listeners or give a message to them, what would you say?
I would say to you, congratulations. And I acknowledge you because you made it. You made it to this moment. And you made it to being this version of you. And you are completely enough just the way you are. And you are exactly where you're supposed to be,
Yes.
apparently, because there you are in this moment, listening to this, wherever you are, that is where you're supposed to be, apparently, because reality tells us this, right? Because there you are in this moment. You cannot argue with reality. You can try, but reality will always win. And the reality is that you are who you are in this moment where you are, and this is where you're supposed to be now. It doesn't mean that you're not going to grow and evolve and change and become the future version of you and your life will become what it becomes. Sure. But right now, you made it. So congratulations.
Thank you so much for all your knowledge. And if my listeners want to connect with you, then what's the best way?
The best way is jemfuller.com, JEMFULLER.com, or Jem Fuller on Instagram, Jem Fuller on LinkedIn. That's probably the best ways.
So I'll make sure to attach all the links and details below so that our listeners can find them easily. And with that, we have come to the end. So thank you, Jim, for sharing this. And this is a very wonderful topic to talk about that we often just look, but you made it so nice and so accessible. And to my listeners, Jem Fuller reminds us that consciousness isn't reserved for gurus or retreats. It's accessible, moment by moment, choice by choice. It's the pause before the reaction, the breathe before the next word. So today, What if you choose to show up fully, aware, intentional, alive? Thank you for turning into inner peace, better health. And may you carry the peace towards one conscious breath at a time. Thank you.